Just one more question.
Just one more question. You're listening to Just One More Question with Steve Atkinson.
Transform and roll out. Bumblebee. Logan, we must locate store.
I wouldn't do that fire yet.
Van, have to clean up van.
Yes, Ratchet, we have to find Captain Core quickly. He's going to blow up the galaxy. Oh, dear.
Megatron means nothing to me.
How is this still a thing?
David Kaye, welcome to Just One More Question.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here.
In your own
in my
studio.
own place.
It is a beautiful voice that you have.
I'm glad I found something to do because I was looking thin after high school.
At what point, though, that was going to be my first question for you. At what point did you say, I can do something with this?
Well, I kind of jumped the gun there, but I was a big fan of voices before I knew they were voices. I used to subscribe to this service called Art Volo's video air checks, and Art Volo was out of Michigan. And being a radio geek, I would lay in my bed at night sometimes, and I would pick up stations. I used to live in Canada, which about an hour and a half outside of Toronto. I could get Chicago and Boston on a good night, WBZ in Boston. These guys were just like gods to me, and you know, I started geeking out on radio and wanted to be involved in radio. I worked at the YMCA in the pro shop, and the morning man for the local radio station would come in all the time. He used to belong to the YMCA, and John Mariucci. And we became friends, and he invited me down to the radio station. They said, you should come down, and meet Rick Johnson. Everybody had the one, Rick Johnson. So I went down to meet Rick Johnson, and I read something on a cassette tape.
You remember those? The cassette tape?
Back in the old days?
Lord, the cassette tape.
And they hired me for this overnight gig on the weekends. And I don't know why, but Rick Johnson gave me a shot. One guy said, okay, yes, and put me on the air. And I was horrible, but they gave me a shot. So I was doing overnights on weekends, midnight to 6, when I was 17, 18 in high school.
This is Peterborough?
Yeah.
Ontario?
Yeah.
Not the biggest burgs in the world.
Not the biggest burg. I still have those radio nightmares. You know, when you wake up, you have these nightmares where it's snowing and it's cold, and as you look outside, and oh my God, I'm back in Peterborough, and I'm from atop Peterborough Square in downtown Peterborough, and it's like 2 a.m. and I I'm just trying to justify myself. No. We're back and it's good. I'm happy, and then you wake up, you're miserable and sad. I think it's just a fear of failure. That's what those dreams were about. But that's how it started. I used to mimic David Letterman, and until somebody called up one night and said, "Stop doing David Letterman," and hung up the phone. And it wasn't until many, many years later that guy was right, because it takes a while, I think, in this business to find out who the hell you are. And then when you're comfortable with yourself and you realize, this is who I am, and you don't need to do anything, you just do you. And that's the hardest thing ever, is to, who am I? It's that old question we all try and figure out. And then when that happened, I went, I don't care anymore. And that's when I sort of started becoming a little more successful, because I didn't really care. But man, you have to care, but...
Didn't care or confidence?
I guess confidence, and yeah, that's probably a better word. Confidence is a big thing. Even now, sometimes if it's not busy, or you think, my career's over, it's confidence, and then you hit something big, and yeah, that's right, I can do this. So no matter what age, there's a confidence thing. But yeah, and that's how it started with the radio, all the radio stuff.
Speaking of knowing who you are, you didn't grow up David Kaye, did you?
No, David Hope is the name I was born with.
Great radio name.
Well, I didn't like it because I just thought I wanted to be David W. Robert Morgan. I wanted to have something that had syllables and things, and again, being somebody else. Yeah. I wanted to be anything else but me. When I got to Vancouver, I was part of the morning zoo format, and that was great. That was when I think Scott Shannon at Z100 New York was doing the morning zoo stuff.
Right.
And I was one of the cast of characters. And one of them was Cowboy Dick, and howdy boys and girls, woo, and I'd write some songs. The one difficulty about doing mornings, and I loved it because it was the big show on the radio station at that time, is the time you have to get up in the morning. It's 3:30, 4 a.m. I'm not a morning person, so
That can be a problem.
that's so 6 a.m. your boss is like, okay, Dave, what do you got? Let's go. All right, get on. I'm like, oh, okay, hang on, I'm working on a bit. I just couldn't wake up quick enough. I did that for 3 years, and it was hell. I just felt like a zombie, but it was great. I did every show on the station. I got the chance to do characters, and that's where the characters started coming in from the morning zoo, started developing stuff I didn't really know I could do, characters. And then there was an agent, a friend, still a longtime friend from Vancouver. His name is Ross Rhodes, and he was a young agent in town, and the X-Files was just sort of kicking off at that time. That was the big deal there. He approached me. I took a commercial modeling course. The modeling part was, I think if you had one eye in your forehead,
just you'd be a really good model. No, just spend $1,000 for
yeah. Well, you think so?
Oh my God, yes.
But the commercial part of it was you had to learn lines, do a commercial. I think that's kind of a kick. So after class, I drove Ross home, and he said, "Do you have an agent?" I go, "No." "Oh, what's that?" So he said, "Well, we're just a new agency, and I'd like to send you out for some commercials and stuff, and see what happens." I said, "Yeah, sure." He said, "Well, I'll go home and think about it." No, I've thought about it. You can be my agent. Well, this is good. This is good. I'm fine with this.
It's easy.
I'm down with it. And he calls, it was a couple of weeks later, he says, "Do you know how to do cartoon voices?" And I said, "Sure." Got a clue. So a little white lie, I really didn't know. And they sent me in for G.I. Joe, the Great American Hero, which is how ironic. This Canadian kid is, going up for General Hawk, who's the Great American Hero. And I went out and I read for it and forgot all about it. And they cast me as General Hawk. So I got a chance to, live a bit of a dream there.
Right shortly after that, I'm looking at my notes here. 1994, you get the voice of Megatron.
Yeah, that was wild too. That
That's
was only my
huge.
third gig, I think. Third or fourth gig. And again, I'm glad I was oblivious, because when they sent out that breakdown, a breakdown is a picture of the character, is a relationship. They had it was pretty much a novel of each relationship to each character. I didn't realize there was a whole Transformers world, from Frank Welker, who was the original Megatron, and Pete and Peter, who was the original Optimus. And I didn't really know about that. So I'm glad I didn't have any indication of their voices going in, because what they said was, well, we don't want the original, we want something different. I go, oh, okay, I don't know who that was. So I went in for this role, and it was basically kind of a crapshoot, because I had all this material, and I looked at the character and went, I don't know. I started playing around with it. And I wasn't sure at all until I actually got behind the mic in the room. And I thought, oh, I'm done, because I saw these other people out there doing their voices. I don't know what I'm going to do until I got in there. And then I kind of thought about Sean Connery, Anthony Hopkins, and a lizard. Like, what would that sound like?
And a lizard.
And a lizard, yeah, because he was this giant, thing. And
So I come up with this bit of a lisp, and sort of talking like this. Excellent, yes.
and they all kind of see their heads perk up like lemurs, like, is it lemurs? What's the
Lemurs.
one? Lemurs. They like heads pop up. That's what they all did. I went, oh, they're paying attention. So they had me read a bunch of stuff like that, and we honed the voice, and they were all quite happy. And I read for Optimus, and I thought, oh, I did Optimus as well, and they're quite happy. So the two main characters, I thought I had a shot, but forgot about it. And then they hired me for Megatron, and that became a crazy, the Beast Wars. That was massive, because now all of a sudden I understood about this Transformer franchise, and I had no idea. And so you started invited to conventions, and you realize, oh my goodness, these thousands of people on my autograph. That was weird. Yeah. Michael Bay won't hire me, because he doesn't really know who I am, and I don't think maybe he hated Beast Wars. I don't know.
Hated Beast Wars.
Maybe he's hated it. So I'm not holding my breath out for that. But anyway, the franchise has been great.
Had you already left radio by then?
Yeah, that was around 94, because I remember that distinctly. I remember the night. It was a mutual firing. My good friend Kate Bowman, I was the program director, and she brought me in, and she said, "It's got some bad news." That's okay. Well, Chris Pandoff wants to see you. Chris is our general manager, and man, we had such a great time and a great crew. I went, "Oh, okay." So Chris, I come in and sit down, and he goes, "Have a seat," and I knew it wasn't going to end well. But he says, "You don't really want to be here, do you?" And I go, "Not really," because what was happening at that time, I was on the air at that time doing middays, and here's an example of the break I was doing. It was like, LG73, it's 12:05, here's Madonna. And I go back to watching the Monkees on MTV. I had no interest because I was doing cartoons. I wanted it in commercials. I started doing that. I said, I want to do that forever. And so we kind of mutually fired each other. And he said, "Well, good luck, man. It's I think this is the road you want to go on." And then I kind of left the building, and went, wow, this is it. And so in my mind, I went, okay, game on. But the night I went home, they all went to, the baby was sleeping and Maria went to bed, and I'm down in my studio in our first place in North Vancouver. And you start thinking, I said, you know what? It's this is a new thing. I get a bottle of Glenlivet up there. I'm gonna have a little scotch. I'm gonna put this to bed. So I'm down in my studio, and about 2:30 in the morning, I'd finished the 3/4 of a bottle of Glenlivet. I really didn't, because I just, I'm thinking, and it's gone, and I'm hammered. And I don't get hammered. It doesn't happen to me. So, last thing I remember is crawling upstairs, man. And I just, and she said, "What the hell are you doing?" I scared her half to death. And so I remember going to bed, and that's all I remember. But I just remember, this is not like me. And I woke up and I called my best friend and said, "Dude, Greg, he said, what's wrong?" "Oh, well, I drank too much last night." "Well, what did you do?" I drank 3/4 of a bottle of scotch." He goes, "Why?" He said, "Well, I kind of quit and they fired me." He goes, "Good for you." I said, "Get your clothes and I'll pick you up." We went for a greasy breakfast at the Tomahawk in North Van. It's a very famous place over there. And I said, I'm a little concerned. I think maybe I might be an alcoholic. And he said, "Well, do you do this all the time?" I said, "No, not an alcoholic. Eat your breakfast." So that was basically, for me, the cutting of the umbilical cord. That was the moment. I remember the night. I remember exactly what happened. And it was, okay, here we go. And it was like a laser focus, and a pilot light went on like a furnace, and it stays on. It's that blue flame. It's constantly on. It's always on, and it's ready to go all any time. That's what I sort of equate it to, and that's never. And so far, it's been a hell of a ride.
All right. So what was it eventually that brought you to L.A.?
It was the late 90s, and I had an interest in doing radio and television affiliate work, the voice of radio stations, Z100, Z1000, Z1 million. I said, I want to be that guy. I marketed myself into a job at the local television station. I made them a cake, an ice cream cake, and a letter of a K. I remember the GM said, "That was ingenious. We love that. That's why we hired you. You weren't very good, but we hired you because of the cake." And so that started this thing. I said, wow, if I can make these numbers games work and get a certain amount of radio stations, TV stations, I could supplement, the firing of I'm not a DJ anymore. So that was the start of that. And I had a little map with pins on it. And every time I get a market, I put a pin in it. And I start getting across North America. And I go, okay, I want to have this amount of stations. It became a goal. So I got up to around 50 stations. And then I came down here for a film fest. A buddy of mine had a film at a festival. I came down to support him, and I dropped all my stuff at William Morris, and I was staying at the Pretty Woman Hotel, the old Beverly, was it the Beverly Wilshire Hotel?
Wilshire?
Is it Wilshire? I think it's Beverly Wilshire. It's different now. And I called, and over there, and I said, it's David Kaye, my agent in New York at the time, Mark Gus. William Morris said I should drop off some stuff for you. And they said, "Oh, yeah, okay, sure." And then it's a Friday afternoon around 3 o'clock, and there's no one. They're usually off. But I got a call back in an hour. They knew that I did commercials as well, a ton of commercials. So they had all the agents come and meet me on a Friday afternoon at 4 o'clock, and they said, we'd like to represent you. And I go, okay. So that was sort of, I had no idea that was going to happen, and it happened very quickly. So I started commuting from Vancouver back and forth, and it was 10 years of that on an airplane. And I got the Transformers gig in 2007. And I thought, and then there was another cartoon I was up for, and I'm not going to say no. And our kids are in school, and I go, what are we going to do? Because I had the visas going. I had my O1 at the time, and it was no problem for me working here. This was a second home for me, L.A. I was very comfortable here. And then finally, I brought it up to Maria and said, we gotta make a move. And that was a big deal. It's like ripping the children from their friends, and it was horrible, but it was the best move I'd ever made. And so we came down. Yeah, never looked back. Just became U.S. citizens a year ago. This country's been great to me and our family. So I owe it a lot. And so I said, let's get this done. I want to be able to vote. I want to be able to contribute and to volunteer. I want to give back because the country has been great. I have a view of America that's strong and bright, and it's a place to dream, and it can be anything you want. It's a place where there is no ceiling. If you can think it, you can be it. And I just love those ideals. I love that.
Charles Muntz is out there. He jumps around Mount Everest.
Megatron. Excellent, yes.
I don't know, Jarkin. I can't tell. And stop calling me your father.
And more smoking. Yes, of course. Right away.
Yes, sir. Right away, sir. Incoming, sir.
Howdy, boys and girls. Cowboy Dick.
I listen to you as you talk. You've probably gone through a half dozen characters already. Just in your voice.
It's just my schizophrenia.
How do you create those characters? How do you research? Do you use visuals? Do you log them? What do you do?
It's voice placement, visual. It comes from many things. I tell you what's really fun is I don't go to Las Vegas much, but when I do, we'll sit and have a martini in the martini bar and at the Bellagio and just watch people and listen to people. And you'll hear about 10 to 20 different voices of just regular folks walking by. You get this guy from New York there. Oh, and we're going to go to the slot machine. And you go, oh my God, it's a real person. So you kind of hear little versions, and it's using your ears as a big thing, because sometimes manager will send me something. They'll want a voice reference, or they'll want a voice match for a character in a movie trailer. Maybe it would be Liam Neeson. And I don't know that I can do these characters or these people unless I try. So
Liam Neeson, he's this kind of smoky voice in here. And he's the Irish American, but he's trying to talk American, but he's still got a bit of Irish in him. And it's a musicality of it all. I don't know who you are, I don't know what you want, but I will find you and I will kill you. So it's all coming from here. And so it's just voice placement back in your throat. And it's other characters. I've done a lot of British, and I don't know why. It's because maybe it's a lot of my heritage or Welsh. Welsh is very, sing-songy. All my Welsh relatives are always, we go over this, well, you're doing voice of it because you're Welsh heritage now, it's because we're all singers then. Yeah, you like to sing, yeah, like Tom Jones, yeah. It's just, I don't know, it's a weird thing. The British thing comes out, you shall not pass. It's just, I kind of see the character, and there is a physicality to it. If you watch someone the way they talk, as an example, Billy West is a friend of mine. He's the Red M&M, and among Billy does the billion characters.
Howard Stern.
Howard Stern.
Yeah.
Oh, the stories. Oh, Billy's phenomenal. He's such a lovable guy, man. And I watched him. He came over for a barbecue one night, and he has talked about Canada, and he said, I have these French Canadian relatives up there.
And he put his nose up here like that. He goes, hey, come on, you come on in, and his nose is like this, right? Come on. When is it? Come by here.
And it's just
when he put his nose up here.
So it's you can move your face around,
And you can do this to characters. One character for a show I did, he's an insecticon, so his jaw was is loose. So when he talked, it's like that.
So when you do the show, it's 2 hours of that.
Oh my God.
You can make sounds. I mean, it's just playing around, basically. It's being a kid making goofy faces in front of a mirror. We've all done that, and it kind of freaks us out a little bit, but that's essentially what we all do.
You're still 6 years old.
Very much so. Very much so. We worked with Mickey Rooney years and years ago at an old cartoon, and Mickey Rooney says to me, David, don't ever grow up. And then he prefaced that, and he followed that up with, I remember Judy. And he would talk about Judy Garland, don't ever grow up, he said. So that was good advice from Mickey.
So with your voices that you have, do you often sit in that bar in Vegas, walk through a mall with your wife, speak, and someone turns like, I know that voice?
No, never. No, I don't. I like to blend into the background. I'm not one to just sort of, go out. I mean, I get asked to go to conventions on the rare occasion. Maybe they just don't like me to come to their convention. But I'm reluctant to go because I love being home. When the weekend comes around and all week long
You're on. Hey, I'm doing a show.
And you're on. Some days I start here around 7 a.m. and I don't get out of here. I'm in and out of here all day till sometimes 9, 10 o'clock at night. And in the Saturday or Friday, you're like, I can be myself again. So, yeah, I'm a bit of a, what do you call it, a homebody, I think, when it comes down to it. Yeah, because you're on all the time.
How routinely do you develop new characters? And if you've got something you feel like it's working for you, how long does it take you to make that part of your routine, put it into your repertoire?
Not long. I mean, I can show you the computer's right in front of us here, but every day there are auditions that come through I'm getting commercial auditions. I'm getting affiliate for television and radio stations that will come in from different agencies. I'm getting movie trailers to scratch and to read for. And then getting narrative stuff, and then getting quite a bit of animation every day. Recently, there's been 2 or 3 or 4 animation projects, and then that's not including the video game projects that come through. And there's a lot of it's acting now, like cartoons is now. It's the same idea. So every day I'm coming up with new stuff, and sort of surprise myself sometimes, because I'll look at something, I'll read the breakdown, and it'll say something like, well, he's smart. He's a big voice, and he's not all there, but he's a hero. And so you kind of develop this hero guy with his voice, but he's not real smart. Hang on a second, I got to put what? You just come up with this guy, or if he's big and he carries an axe. I've got an axe. If it's a video game, I just about here. And so you have that. You have as a troll character or something, you kind of have a vision of a troll or a bearded something or other, and you wield an axe, and then...
if he's a kitty cat like this, maybe he's small, maybe it's cartoony, maybe kind of, goofy and strange, and he's got a bit of a lisp, and you put it in...
So you just develop that, and you just see where it goes. From the description, I can come up with a voice just by reading the description, Okay, he's 70, 80 years old. He's cantankerous. He's miserable. Get off my lawn, you little bit. Come here, you stupid. So I'll just start with the description, and then I'll go right in. I'll cold read and go right in for the dialogue. I won't even look at the dialogue before. I'll just see where it goes. Once in a while, I'll go all the way through and I'll hit the notes and go, hey, that's not bad, and I'll send that. But then maybe I'll do another pass or two with that voice and hone it. But it happens very quickly. And in this business, you have to be able to turn quickly.
Does the studio allow you that license to...
Here at home, yes, of course. But in a session, we're doing Ben 10 right now, and I play Grandpa Max in the new Ben 10 series for Cartoon Network, and it's a blast. He's a grandpa, so he's older, but he's got a history, and he used to fight crime as well, and he's a bit mysterious. Ben, no ice cream, Ben, until the thing is clean. He's the grandpa, but he's the glue that holds his niece and nephew together. And in that show, there's a lot of different aliens that show up that he turns into. And so they will rely on you for every show, at least 2 or 3 voices. And sometimes they don't know what the voice is going to be. And a lot of times you'll go into the studio and say, okay, we want you to try this new character. He's shock rock and this is, and you go, okay, well, I got to come up with something now because they're all waiting for me. And they'll kind of explain, they'll maybe show a drawing of shock rock. And he has to sound like a 10-year-old kid. But you have to, so yeah.
Maybe shock rock is a character I do, and it's kind of this, yo, whoa, what's going on? You do that,
and they kind of hone that. Well, don't make him so surf boy, make him a little more this, and all of a sudden you come up with a voice. So when you're in there, you have to be ready to roll and come up with something, and the pressure's on, because as much as it's tons of fun, you got to bring it. Yeah, you can't be screwing around and not have anything. You got to come up with something.
So you're talking about thousands of different characters and personalities. How are you categorizing all this?
They will have a voice reference for what you do, so you can always refer back to the character. Or it's a thing. For the Megatron voice, I always used to get me into character by saying,
Yes, excellent, yes. Commander Rattrap, what a pleasant surprise. It shall avail you not, no, side guns. And so by saying,
you're back in the character by just saying a couple lines. And usually with Grandpa Max, it's simple as, ban, and that's Grandpa Max.
Insecticons here.
And there's a bunch of different other characters I've done in the past.
Some up here's Kyber, and he's sort of South African, and he's not Australian, but he's South African. He's got a bit of a voice. He never gets angry at all, doesn't raise his voice. Ben Tennyson will get you if it's the last thing I do.
And so you come at it from here. Optimus Prime, when I was called on to do Optimus Prime and animated, I thought for sure they're bringing me back from Megatron, but they cast me as Optimus, which is weird because I've always been the bad guy. That was just mostly my own voice. And they said, well, when you talk, we want everybody to kind of roll their eyes like, oh, God, he's talking again. So he was that superhero, this transform and roll out. I'm going to make a speech now. And they're like, oh, God. So you have that in your head. Like when you speak, you want to pretend that everyone's rolling their eyes, but he's making this impassioned speech. And so you develop a character and he gets different over the episodes and he changes and you eventually settle into the character after a few episodes. You kind of find where you are with them. It takes a few episodes to kind of nail it.
Clearly, it sounds like in your head you've got this own visual Rolodex.
And that came from radio. That came from that seeing, my old bosses always used to say, really focus in on who you're talking to. Focus in on that person, woman, man, how old, like what are they wearing? When I used to be on the air, I could see them, and so that helps a lot in innovation because you have to see the character, but you can't act. You can't I am acting now. You can't. If they want that, you can do that, but it has to be real. So where video games are going now, it has to be as real as possible because now they're putting us into the virtual world where we're all there and we want to be taken away from what's that old line from Noises Off? I want to be taken out of myself, preferably not put back in. And so you take people out of their world. And so you don't want them to jolt them out by acting a scene. You want to, it's very intimate. You want to be here. And that's, it's just one of those little tricks, and it only comes from doing it. It's hard to teach that. You just have to kind of find your way, and you get there. But in radio, like I said, when I'm trying to find myself, the sooner you find your own self, the better, because you get out of your way and just be who you are.
You have to be careful with what you put in your mouth.
Well, I'm an occasional cigar smoker, I have to admit. It's funny. Cigars are a funny thing. People go, what are you doing? My wife can't stand it, but I belong to a cigar society. So, we smoke a cigar, oh my God. But it really is, it's about camaraderie. And it's one of the things I can do by myself. If I sit up on the deck above my studio, there's a little small enough area for me, just me, either a little nice glass of wine or a little bit of a Irish whiskey or something. And then if I need to think by myself and be quiet, and a cigar it's an hour. And I'll just sit, and I don't need anything else except maybe I'll throw on some 40s music. Whatever era, why I'm into that era, I don't know. The house is from the 40s, so I love that era. And just kind of let things circulate. And if I'm trying to solve a problem, generally either the next day or within that hour, okay, that's what I'm going to do. And that silly cigar sort of helps you stop, slow down, take a moment. That's what that does.
Tell me about Don LaFontaine.
Oh, wow.
And for those of you listening, just think of any movie trailer that starts with, in a world where...
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
He invented that that line. He worked for Paramount, had a creative for years in New York. He used to bring him in to read stuff, and he invented that genre, in a world. And he used to say, like I said before about animation, when you go to a movie theater and you're in a dark room and the movie comes on, you go to a movie to leave the current situation out here and to forget about it for a while. And literally when you say, in a world, in a time, in a place, it's the voice and it's putting you into that time and takes you out of your current reality and into this magical world. And he invented that genre. When you're doing trailer, it's just your storytelling, essentially. Now, there's a certain, I hear trailers these days sometimes, and they're just, I don't know like how in the world they got on the air. Because trailers to me is kind of sacred ground. At the top of the voiceover pyramid, there's the trailer voices. And there's a reason why it's tough to get there. Because it's hard. It's difficult. And there's a certain pedigree. I'm always trying to strive for that excellence. And Don epitomized that excellence in voiceover. And there's Ashton and oh my God, the guys that do it now, John Gary, and there's some amazing voices, and they're good at what they do, and it's the reason they get hired. And it's a very subtle thing, and it's very tough to do. Here's an example. There was, I can't quite say it yet. I don't think the trailer's on, but I'm working with a pretty big project that's going to be coming out this fall. And there were 2 words. They loved everything about the storytelling, about, this fall. They loved everything. It was great. But there's 2 words. They don't want to sell it too much, and they don't want to undersell it. And the 2 words were until now. So we were at a half an hour on 2 words because it had to be just right. It had to sound magical because it was the big reveal. Until now. And that's too much. Until now, not enough. It's got to have some magical quality. And so trying to get those 2 words, and that's trailer. That's difficult to do because it's very nuanced. You have to finesse those words to make them sound not too. Movie trailers like sell it, but don't sell it. Give me everything, but give me nothing. That's really what it is. You walk a razor's edge. Was there a particular piece of advice that he gave you? He told me, I was a little bit perplexed one day about moving down here, and I went over to his house to drop something off, and he said, "Come on, sit down. What's bothering you?" I said, "Well, I got to move down here, I think, and I'm a little concerned because of my family." And he says, "Hey, look, you go home, you say, Daddy's got to do what Daddy's got to do, and you move down here. That's it. You should be doing this." And when Don LaFontaine says you should be doing this, you get off your ass, you get on an airplane, and you move them down. Yeah. Heading down to California. And that's really, I thought, well, there's no one else like that is going to tell me, I'm going to listen. And the other person was Tara Strong, who lives very close by here. Tara is one of the top female voices in the world. And she's the one who walked me into my current agency. I love them, DPN. And she said, "You need to be here." And one person said to me, "Oh, did she talk to you?" I go, "Yeah, we had a great conversation." "Oh, she likes you. You should do what she says because she doesn't talk to everybody. She doesn't like everybody." So I thought, wow, I was very honored. And, it's fantastic when people do that for you because they don't have to. What about people like Mel Blanc? I mean, I know you didn't meet him, but I mean, do you look at people like that as idols or? I do. And Mel is sort of the unattainable. He's one of those ones that there's no one, not even try. Don't even try. We all saw that poster that came out, all the cartoon characters. And then when he died, and it was speechless. And I go, wow, and it's exactly what it is. Please don't try and do Mel Blanc. Don't try. You just leave him alone. He's way up there. What's that like working for the John Oliver Show now? Oliver Show? I mean, because this is such a progressive, popular show. You're the voice of this. Very political in a lot of ways. I don't want to say anti-Trump, but certainly leaning into a certain direction. Critical to say the least. He does. He hits everybody though. He does hit everybody, but he's certainly he's a little bit baffled as to the new president. That's for sure. It's funny as hell. There's a lot of times with the sessions here in the morning, I'll start laughing and I can't stop, and they'll have to take a minute, and they're laughing and I'm laughing and we're all laughing. It's tons of fun. But I backdoored into that job. I was hired to do the promos for the show on HBO, the John Oliver Show. And I did whatever I did for that. Mm-hmm. And they go, all right, we got paid. I finished on it. I'm watching TV one night and watching HBO. And I hear, that's not my voice. Oh, damn. And I sort of texted my manager, I guess that's not going to happen. I mean, the guy's great. He's fantastic. I think I know him. But fantastic voice for the promos. And I think, well, there you go. That's the business. He goes, and he called me right away. He goes, no. He said, everything's good. They want to know if you want to work for the show. I go, what do you mean work for the show? Well, that like I didn't really understand what they wanted. And they said, are you going to be available on Saturday or Sunday? And I go, whoa. That's sacred time. I don't know, man. Saturday, I kind of was humming and hawing about that. And well, let's just see how it goes. I really don't know. And then the first session went, and then the first show, and went, oh. And then it's taken off, and they won an Emmy. I'm hoping I get invited, maybe if they get nominated again, because it might be my only chance. That's it. But so it's funny how it's just you never really know what you do and where it goes. You do some things, and sometimes you think, "Wow, this is going to be huge! Oh my God, Gatorade commercial, Super Bowl," and then fizzles, whatever it is. Gatorade didn't fizzle. I mean, it could be anything.
Anything.
And then the John Oliver show, you're thinking, "What the hell is this? What weekends?" I don't know. I guess so. The problem won't last. And all of a sudden, it's there's coffee mugs and hats and ratings. So it's neat to be involved.
Let's talk about Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
Amazon, YouTube, everything that's streaming right now. How has that changed your industry?
Well, it's certainly more work. There's negotiations coming up now. Of course, the digital medium is wreaking a bit of havoc and concern on the residuals, the traditional mode of payment for people of your medical and dental and the way it was in the residuals. But now that's sort of like a Netflix comes out or other platforms, and they don't have to follow those rules. So we're still in that stage as performers, actors, or writers where, well, how does this work? Are we getting paid for the ones and zeros and ones? Are they counting the amount of times it's being played? Are we getting the residuals? How's that going to happen? So right now we're in the middle of this where this is headed. I'm pretty confident they'll figure it all out, but it has certainly changed that, and people are concerned about it because, the traditional way of doing television now and being paid for it is changing. I've done Netflix promos and Sundance, promos and all these different promos for the Hulu, and so that is creating more work for me on the promo side, which is fine. It's on the animation side and the shows and the live action stuff that they're going to have to figure out that pay structure now and how that works. But it's a good time. There's a lot of content right now. Tons.
Your old bread and butter, though, has been your TV radio stations. Any idea how many of those that you have?
I don't know. It kind of hovers around 50 and 100. I don't honestly know. Somewhere there. I lost count. I'm more concerned about making sure they get their product on time and you guys get your voiceovers and getting that done. My job is to make your job easy. You get your stuff, it's there, it's done. I don't want to be messing around.
He's tracked from airport bathrooms for us.
Oh,
yeah.
Airport bathrooms?
Not for you. Oh, not for you. Well, have I? No. For you? No.
No, not for us, but sorry.
Yes, but there was.
From
I did. I was in an airport lounge.
From an airport bathroom.
Yeah, because I had my gear with me. I used to take a kit where it's very small and I can actually record. And I'm sitting in the lounge, and my son and I are heading back to Canada for a trip. It was a couple of years ago. Janet Jackson first went on tour.
Yeah.
I can say it now because the tour is already done. But at the time, I just, don't tell them what you're doing because they don't if it's done in a bathroom and he texted me and he said, "Can you do this right away? They really need this." And the tour promoters, they do a lot of tour show, like the U2 tour is mine tour right now. I did the Shot A tour. There's a bunch of the tours that I'm doing, and it's that whole what is it? The Doobie Brothers, Chicago tonight. All that sort of stuff. Well, this is the Janet Jackson show, and it was pretty big. And he said they need this like right away. And I said, well, he said, I have an airport lounge. He said, do you have your gear? I said, yeah, but I don't know. So I went and I found I got the key to the shower room. It's big enough, the Air Canada lounge. So I had my jacket. I draped it over my head because it sounded horrible in there. And I set this little thing up on I clamped it to this thing, the baby change table, and I sat on the throne, and it was sort of a little setup there with my jacket over my head.
Janet Jackson live in concert. Janet Jackson live in concert. This Saturday.
I give them versions of this Tacoma Dome and see whatever the hell it was, and I sent it off. I said it sounded good. Really? Yeah. And he sent me because I had to do an insert, and you'd never know.
All right, let's do a little rapid fire. 1-word answers, 1-sentence answers at the most, if you can. All right? What is the least amount of clothing you've ever worn cutting audio?
None.
None.
And it was for Disney.
Take that. Take that, mouse.
Oh, my God. All right, one piece of advice you would have for someone who wants to do what you do.
Listen to everyone who's good. No, listen to everyone who's great. Your audition has to be so good, they can put it on the air. That's the level of competition. That's where you need to be.
What's the worst job you ever had? How much did you get paid?
Oh, God. Clearing the buggies in a blizzard at Food City. My first job, I worked for a grocery store. And I don't know what I made.
Back in Ontario, freezing?
I'm terrible, I'm terrible, Canada. It was every time there's a blizzard, Dave, Hope clear the buggies, please. Dave, Hope clear the buggies. I go, oh, come on. And it was horrendously awful.
Where is the weirdest place, other than that bathroom, that you've ever had to record audio?
Aboard Ama Waterways cruise down the Rhone River.
Wow.
I did a Taco Bell session in my room from France.
I was in France.
Has there ever been a project or a line you couldn't read for any reason?
I have trouble with the word Saturday. Saturday. I have to be very careful when I say that word. There's a few, but Saturday, if we could take that word out of the week, I would be happy.
Just one more question. What's your advice on taking chances?
Oh, yeah. You'll never find how, the greatness in yourself if you don't. It really is one of those things where you have to jump off the diving board into the deep end and assume there'll be water there. When you hit town. And like the little sign up there, it says, you have to be odd to be number one. I love that. Be one in a million.
David Kaye, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. It was fun. Thanks, Steve.
David Kaye, welcome to just one more question.
We're going to one last question.
One last question.
That's it?
What the hell is this show?
Wow.
We forgot the name of the show already? All right, here we go. We'll start over again.